8radio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5 On Racing Show. Welcome to another night of race talk, as we talk about the ongoings of racing across the country and other places, I guess, sometimes. But tonight we got to talk about the North-South Shootout, what's going on with the Sprint Cup and the Chase, the events in Texas, and some other things of interest. Recently found out that the 2016 Race of Champions will be returning to Oswego Speedway, upstate New York. It'll be back to a 250-lap event. Wow, that's a lot of laps. It had been gone from there for a little bit, but it's going back there. Series director Joe Skotnicki confirmed that. Joe Skotnicki, he was a former NASCAR guy. In fact, he was a competition director working under Jerry Cook when I was running a weekly racing series track, and then when I was up in the tour. Joe Skotnicki, great guy, very knowledgeable guy, very quiet guy. I know my initial dealings with him had to do with a suspension of somebody, and I how did it work back then? I would just write up a note or memo, fax it to Jerry Cook, and then Jerry Cook would call me and try to convince me to go higher or lower with the penalty, and I had done the same. From now on, deal with Joe Skotnicki, and Joe Skotnicki, when I sent it to him, and he never got back to me, so I didn't know what was going on, and the competitor called me screaming and yelling, because Joe just whatever I said to do, he did. Sometimes I put in for some ridiculous thing and have Jerry Cook chew me down. Case in point, there was one night with a driver who kind of got out of control and was, in my opinion, disrespectful to me. And it's funny, I always say, I used to tell people, one-on-one in public, let's be professional. You want to go in my office, you can say whatever you want to me. And this guy who came in my office, he turned my desk upside down and knocked everything off the walls and stuff. But anyway, his car owner came in and wanted to know what the penalty was going to be, because obviously there was going to be a penalty. And I didn't know. You're still kind of hot, and upset and angry over it. So, I said, I don't know yet. I'm not going to know till maybe tomorrow or Monday. Well, I got to know now. I got to know if I'm going to put my car back together. I said, all right, fine. It fines, 10 years and $10,000. And, oh, that's ridiculous. And out they go. And when I presented it to Jerry Cook goes, well, what have you done to other people with a similar situation? I don't know. It's a little fine, maybe probation. Well, that's what you got to do here. So. But Joe Skotnicki well, I'll tell you what, that was a pleasure to talk to, a very knowledgeable guy, and I'm glad he's running this series. He kind of disappeared from racing on the forefront. He was behind the scenes spotting for some teams on the tour and some of the other touring series with the modifieds, but Joe's a good guy. But anyway, the 2016 Race of Champions will return to Oswego Speedway, upstate New York. Speaking of upstate New York, Brett Hearn, who was at the Orange County Fair Speedway during the Eastern States 200, winning the small block portion on one day, and then just barely missing out on a win in the big block portion the next day. And if he would have taken home both of those wins, it would have been $60,000 payoff for him. Well, Brett Hearn was fined 150 points for skipping the Weedsport DIRT car event. He got a phone call from DIRT series director Mike Perot, who called Hearn on October 22nd and to tell him that Hearn would not only lose his platinum membership agreement in the series, but also 150 points for skipping the event at Weedsport. And I look back and I look at things like what happened to Brett Hearn and other competitors over the years. What a way to push somebody out, to make somebody have a bad taste in the mouth for you or for your series. You know, here's a guy, he's a businessman. He's been racing for 35, 40 years. And he was going to go where the money was. And the money was at Orange County Fair Speedway at the Eastern States. Again, he's always a threat to win. He has a shot now of making $60,000 for racing 2 races in the dirt car. And how this other series could do that. Now, I understand that, you know, maybe Weedsport Speedway, they had promotional stuff out and come see Brett Hearn and blah, blah, blah. And Brett didn't decide like weeks ahead. He decided pretty the last minute type. And I'm sure that upset a lot of people. But, you know, he chose to go where the money was. If they really wanted him there, why didn't they, you know, show him the money, so to speak? So Brett Hearn was always one of my, you know, I wasn't into dirt racing, you know, most of my life. But when I did go to dirt racing, he was the guy to watch. First time watching him, I believe it was 1977, 78 at the Orange County Fair Speedway for an Eastern States 200 event. And it was a guy, you get to know him, and you don't know him personally back then, but you get to know him as a competitor. And we all have our favorites. And in the dirt, that was one of my guys back in the day. So I really think that that's unfair. You know, you find the guy 150 points. You know, what's the chances of him coming back, you know, and running your big races next year? You know, I'm thinking slim to none. So, and then to do something like that, you know, you want to find a guy, whatever, depending on what the rule book says. And I know in the weekly series years ago, if you didn't race at your home track and you showed up and you weren't racing somewhere else, you were handicapped with a win. Like, you know, you won that night. So it was an incentive to keep you coming to your weekly track. So they had it in the rule book. Now, I didn't read the rule book on this and on what the penalties are, but, you know, here's a guy that has supported the dirt racing series since the mid-'70s, and now you're going to penalize him because he went to where the money was. So just something that when I saw that, I was a little irked by that. I was like, are you kidding me? You're kidding me. Because I don't like that kind of stuff. It's not good for the sport. You know, back in the day, in the old Jerry Cook, Richie Evans days, the late Richie Evans, the games that he used to play, in an entry blank used to say an extra, whatever, $600, $700, $1,000 to Jerry Cook and Richie Evans if they showed up because they wanted to draw a crowd. Well, you know, sometimes they went to the other places, and the dummy trucks and trailers making it look like they're going one way and they went another. Back in the day, that stuff was legendary. That's what's missing today. That's what's missing today. But anyway, that's what happens. And speaking of what's missing, Long Island legend car driver Richie Davidovich this past summer was up at Bethel Motor Speedway racing, and he was protested, and he had wrecked in the last feature, and they wanted his motor because, you know, rumor had it that the motor was not the right motor. It was too big. It was this. It was that. It was the other thing. So the officials at Bethel Motor Speedway, I guess they made some calls, and they wanted him to take his motor around so they could, you know, do whatever they have to do to it. And here's where the story gets a little dicey. You know, Richie declined to tear down and declined to take his motor out. Now, yeah, the rules say you have to do that, and the officials at Bethel Motor Speedway were doing what they were told to do. And, you know, Richie said, look, I spoke to him about this, and he said to me, you know, it was late. I still had a 5-hour ride home, and I had to get to work Monday morning. I wasn't taking my motor out. He offered to do some things, and you know what? And as an official, no, we want the motor now. And I guess that's what happened. So he had, I believe it was a 1-month suspension. The motor had to get sent down south to INEX, and he just got the motor back, and they're saying the motor was good. Now, I'm not saying anybody was right or wrong here, but I'm going to put the official hat on now. How do we know that that motor was the motor that they ran Sunday that was sent down and shipped back as being okay? Or number two, you know, I'm sure it was. I'm Richie. I know Richie in passing from the local racetrack, and you know, I'm sure he did take that motor and set it down, because if you're legitimate, if you know you're not bending the rules, and you know you're not cheating, you have no problem giving this stuff up. You give it up. Understand where it was coming from. Look, I gotta go. But that's, again, what's one of the problems you have when you race out of town. You know, the management and the officials of that racetrack, they don't care if you live across the street or across the country. The rules are the rules. Now, there was a lot of stuff on the social media back and forth on that and what was going on, and you know, a lot of people are still questioning it. You know what? It's over. It's done. He served his penalty, his suspension, and you know, just in time to miss some big legend races. But in the meantime, he'll get ready for the Turkey Derby, and you know what? Talk it out on the track. You know, if the motor was that illegal, I don't know. I just don't like that kind of stuff. You know, I had a driver once at my local track. I knew his motor was no good, and I had the tech officials go, you know, he pulled the heads off like he was asked, and he said that my officials didn't know how to use the tools or the equipment. And he refused to take the motor out after it was deemed to be illegal. And the next day he called me up as a gentleman and said, hey, you're right. I didn't know I bought this motor from somebody. And so basically, we have to save face now. I got to have the motor. He's got to serve the penalty, whether it's the fine, suspension, whatever it was going to be. But the deal was he couldn't race again until the motor was turned in to me. And I got a motor. Whether or not it was the motor that we looked at that day, I don't know, but I got a motor. He served his penalty, and everybody hugged and kissed, and it was all good. A couple of years later, more than a couple of years, maybe 6 or 7 years later, a driver comes in, parks next to one of my race cars that I have at the racetrack, and they open the hood and they're going to do some stuff, and they're trying to get the timing right, and I'm looking at that motor, and I'm the type of guy, I don't forget. I don't forget. I'm saying, I said to this guy, he was there helping somebody, I said, that motor looks familiar, and his eyeballs just bugged out. And later on we talked, how did you know? And I said, I just knew. But, you know, the car count was low and short, and the guy wasn't a front runner. The guy kind of just made it happen. So, I don't know. But anyway. And looking in the chart, there's Tracy from Bethel Motor Speedway. Hello. There was more than one driver who skipped the Weedsport race with Eastern States. But because Brett Hearn was a top draw, he got penalized. And like I said, I don't know what their agreement reads, and I don't know what their rules state, and I don't know what this platinum membership thing was. Maybe this platinum membership says you have to go there all the time, you have to do this, that, and the other thing. I don't know, but I don't like when stuff gets done like that to these competitors who spend a lot of money and they have an opportunity to make some money, and they kind of got smacked in the face. But Richie Davidovich, we're going to be filming a segment from his shop shortly that will air over the winter when things are a little bit quiet. I'm sure we'll have first-hand discussion back and forth of this motor situation. And there's still a lot of doubters out there. Still a lot of doubters. That, you know, was that the motor? Was it not the motor? And you know what? Only Richie knows. And, you know, I take people at their word. And if he says that was the one, then that's the one. I don't know if there was any steps taken to seal it or make it so that when it got to INEX, they knew that that motor was the right one, but I wasn't there. I'm going by what I'm being told and what I'm reading in the social media, so it's one of those things. So anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the chase and what went on with the people that were involved with the penalties and how that panned out when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Welly. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, we're back. We're back broadcasting live from InRavio Studio C in New York. All right, I always like to say that. But anyway, before we move on, I just want to wish a happy birthday to a longtime friend and a person who has been one of the 505 on supporters from show one. She's actually my proofreader for some of the things I write, Teresa Altabrando. She's celebrating her birthday today. And from what I see in the social media, it's birthday week. They celebrate their birthday for a whole week. I don't like celebrating my birthday one day, but a whole week, hey, it's great. Wish you anyone. I'm not going to say which birthday it is. It is a milestone. But happy birthday to Teresa, and thank you for being a fan and supporter of the 505 on Racing Show at InRavio.com. Anyway, as announced one day after our show last week, Matt Kenseth was suspended from the next two Sprint Cup Series events for deliberately wrecking Joey Logano at Martinsville. Joe Gibbs Racing and Kenseth appealed to NASCAR. There's an appeals process, just like in the court of law in the United States. There's an appeal. They appealed it. The appeal was heard very quickly, and it was over just as quick. They lost their appeal. Kenseth will have to sit out those two events. And Eric Jones, the current Camping World Truck Series point leader, will fill in for those two events. It's not the first time Eric Jones has filled in at Joe Gibbs Racing. I believe he also filled in for Denny Hamlin on one occasion, and also one other person who I just can't remember who was at this time. So that's what's going on there. Now, I'll tell you what, in looking at that now, Danica Patrick basically did the same thing. The same thing. But because David Gilliland, who was not in the chase or anywhere near the chase. In fact, he's a chase-e, I guess you could call him, or a chaser. They got together. She got sideways. She went around. She spins around so much she should be a top. It wasn't David Gilliland's fault, but she kind of limped around the racetrack, and when she saw him pass, she blasted into him. Then there were two wrecked race cars instead of just one with flat spots on their tires. She was only given a $50,000 fine. So there's a little inequity here. So I got to question NASCAR in this one. I got to question, similar situations. They both drivers, Danica Patrick and Matt Kenseth, deliberately wrecked another competitor. Why wasn't the fine/penalty the same? I mean, I know when, I live in New York, so if you go through a red light in New York, the fine is X and the points off your license is Y. It doesn't matter if you're, Joe Smith or Irv Yachts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're Goggles Paisano. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's the same fine. You have committed crime, it's the same penalty. It should have been the same. But you know what they've done, and I've seen some talk about this on the social media. What NASCAR has done now is they've created an interest here because Kenseth can't run these next two events. Logano is obviously out of the chase. He's marred. We'll talk about the points and the chase in a little bit. He's last of the 8 guys. He has to win to get into the Final Four. Now what's going to happen? Everybody's going to watch Homestead to see what's going to happen. Is Logano going to be in the mid-pack and say, listen, I'm not going to win today. Let me pay back Kenseth. Is Kenseth going to be, let me muscle him up and play with his head a little bit so he can't win? It's going to be interesting to see. So did NASCAR create this little thing? I think they have. Because according to Ernie Sachs in the Area Auto Racing News, the ratings for the last few races are down, and you would think it would be just the other way around, the TV ratings, that is, and they need to do something. This chase thing isn't working the way they planned it to be. So they have to do something. So was this orchestrated? I'm not saying it's the WWE. I'm not saying that. But, did somebody whisper in Kansas City, hey, listen, you're out of chase, dude. You're still going to be, wherever in the points, no matter what happens. Why don't you take this kid out? Because he's not a good champion. I'm not saying Joey Logano will be a good champion. I don't go, I don't want to get the hate emails now, and you wish you could be Joey Logano. No, I don't. But think about this. Think about the champions that have come through the Sprint Cup Series ranks. They are professional people. They talk right, they dress right, they comb their hair right. Their family is not causing trouble, like Joey Logano's father, who was banned from the garage area for a while. Maybe Joey wasn't the guy they want to be champion. I mean, think about it. The last round in the chase, he tore that place up. He won every race. And NASCAR sitting back, whoa, he can't have this. And I'm not saying they manipulate who wins and who doesn't, because then that would be not good. But I was once told by a very, very high up person in NASCAR, and they said, Joe, what we do here is put on a show. And we need to put on the best show that we possibly can. And there's going to be a show at Homestead. Believe me when I tell you. There's going to be a show. And this is playing out just the way NASCAR wanted it to. And I'm willing to bet that the Homestead event is going to be one of the highest rated TV shows that NASCAR's had in a long time, because they want to see that, and I don't know. And Jay Slice talking about Danica Patrick, I'm going backwards a little bit. She did say that, and what Jay Slice wrote is Danica said over the radio that she missed him the first time. Come on, NASCAR, she should have been suspended too. So what has happened there is, Joe Gibbs, I've met Joe Gibbs, and the guy's a family man, a religious man, and he's all about doing the right thing. And, was it because Tony Stewart has a louder voice than Joe Gibbs? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes anymore, so I don't know what's really going through their heads here. But That's just how it is. So Homestead's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I'm actually going to sit back. I'm going to get a bowl of chips, nice frosty mug of beer, and sit back in my recliner, probably fall asleep on lap 30. But, you know, you can always rewind and go back. I'll probably tape it. But I want to watch that race because I think it's going to be insane. I really do. I think it's going to be insane. And I just wish NASCAR would have handled this a little differently. You know, and again, I'm not trying to downplay, you know, what went on. You know, yeah, he did wreck him on purpose, but she wrecked Gillian on purpose too. But you know, NASCAR made a decision, and there was some stuff they did a press release why they made the decision. Right? You know, I didn't even read it because I don't care. You know, because it should have been the same and it wasn't. And it's all about consistency. And I believe in consistency. What's good for one is good for the other. And if this guy messes up and does this, the penalty should be Y. And if this person does the same thing as this guy, can't pick and choose. You can say, well, you know, this guy has a history here. No, you can't. You know, you go to court, you violate a law, and at least in the state of New York, you go to the judge. You know, maybe that they'll take some time off. Maybe you can plea it down. That's what the appeals process is all about. But it's just not sitting right with me that they both weren't penalized the same. And it is Jay Slice. You know, I know racing needed a character. They needed a bad guy. They need somebody who's going to be the equalizer. You know, back in the day, you know, Dale Earnhardt Sr., you know, may he rest in peace. That man took care of it on the racetrack. You know, and think about, you know, going back to some of the things that Dale Earnhardt in his day did. And I can remember the first, they called them twin 125s back then. The first one I went to at Daytona, and I'm in the garage area, and here we go, and Rusty Wallace takes out Dale Earnhardt. And I was like, wow. Nothing happened on the racetrack. He got out calm, took his thing, took the ride in the ambulance on his way. And so I go down by Rusty Wallace's hauler because I'm from Long Island. There's going to be fisticuffs. Dale Earnhardt walks up to Rusty Wallace, who's standing at the end of his hauler. Dale Earnhardt just plants one at the top of his head and sends him flying. Done deal. The crews didn't get involved. People weren't jumping around. There wasn't media all over the place like there is today. So anyway. On the phone, DJ from North Carolina is on the phone. DJ, out there? How you doing there, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Joe?
I'm good, man. How you?
Hey, listen, did you know Gibbs is being singled out for their ear dam in the front?
Yes.
3 of the cars?
Yes.
Yeah, you should put that on there because NASCAR's not playing nice.
No, well, you know, you don't have to tell me. It's their sandbox, it's their sand, and it's in their backyard. Yeah, you know, because you know he appealed that.
Yeah,
he won against it.
It's kind of like you said about Dale Earnhardt. You know, I've been saying it. I got a Dale Earnhardt fan that I got in a little argument with, but we're pretty good friends now and everything else like that. He says. That NASCAR wouldn't have even touched that.
Yeah.
You know, because if you took a look at what Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt, they did the same thing in Richmond years ago.
Yes, they did.
And they didn't penalize anybody for that.
No.
So
you know, it was a different era then, and you know, and I don't want to say Joey Logano's a crybaby. But there were no crybabies in racing back then. In the
right. You know, I liked him, you know, at the beginning and everything else like that. But you know who really inspired me the most was Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
He inspired me pretty much. I don't care if he's a crybaby or not.
Right.
But, you know, that kid can drive.
Yes, he can.
You know, and I wish I could have seen you drive.
No, you didn't miss anything. You know,
but,
I was running open wheel. I started with a full fender car at the start of the race, but it was usually open wheel by mid-race. I throw a lot of stuff off in one day.
I just kind of figure that that they wouldn't give them penalty like that.
Yeah, mine neither.
So I think that's kind of what you call, like you said, that Homestead. Everybody's going to be watching it. And it's going to be the biggest draw of them all. So,
Yeah.
Did you go this weekend?
No, I did not.
I didn't either.
Yeah, we're gonna
rained
talk
down
about that
here,
after the
so.
break. Yeah. No.
So, but anyway, I just wanted to tell you about that and see how you doing, and you know me.
Oh yeah. Now that you're down south,
but-
for those who don't know, who's on the line, DJ Hickton, he was a crew chief on the Wade Cole race teams for many, many years. Moved south, like a lot of smart, intelligent people. And do you have any racing plans now that you moved down and you're all healed up practically?
No, I'm not healed up. Matter of fact, I'm going to see a chiropractor, and he's told me what's going on with my legs and everything else like that, and I can't do the things that I want to do.
Right.
I can't kneel, down on the ground because it hurts too much.
Okay.
And try to get up, and I gain all this weight. I lost 10 pounds. That's a good thing. So,
Right.
I'm trying to eat better down here, but I can't. It's just, and the bugs are terrible.
Yeah.
If anybody knows anything about down south down here in the eastern part of North Carolina, they know they got bugs
Yeah.
and lizards.
That's all right.
So, and we had one near the house the other day,
Ah, wonderful.
a gecko.
Nice.
I picked him up, brought him outside, put him outside, and he scurried right along.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's fun. It's my first Southern Tour race wasn't an official, but there's a racetrack down here, and I said I wanted to go see it, and I went to see it, and the tour was there, and I enjoyed it very much. And Jeremy Mayfield was there. He led 3/4 of a race,
Yeah.
and he just the 95 won the race, and I'm like, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Great.
So-
Nice. All right. Well,
Yeah, so I'll let you go back to work, and I appreciate you letting me call in and talk to you, and and if you see anybody else up there that I might know, just tell them I said hi,
Will do.
and I'll talk to you later.
All right,
Okay,
DJ.
boss?
Thanks for calling in.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, my almost crew chief, DJ Hickton, formerly of Connecticut, now down in the eastern part of North Carolina. When we come back, we're going to talk about the North-South Shootout, what was held this past weekend, and how they fought the rain and finally got it in when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Les Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
It's always been important to us to have music a part of our lives, part of our children's lives. At Village Music Shop, Bonnie and Chuck have not only made it possible for our kids to learn and understand and read music and enjoy playing a musical instrument, but they've also made it fun.
I really like coming here. I like coming to Village Music because everybody here is nice.
And they've inspired some creativity and imagination and taught them discipline. And along the way, they've gotten some self-confidence, really been like a part of our family.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the Proto Men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from InRadio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Welcome back. Well, the North-South Shootout, the 13th annual North-South Shootout, was held at the Concord Motorsports Park in Concord, North Carolina this past weekend. Matt Hirschman took the checker flag this past weekend in this event, and a couple hours later, he wasn't the winner anymore. There was some controversy. A decision was made hours after the event was checkered. Victory Lane celebrations were held, and the next thing you know, Matt Hirschman is DQ'd for an unapproved adjustment during a late race red flag situation, according to Speed51.com. The DQ put second place winner Long Island's Justin Bonsignor as the winner and put him in victory lane for the photo op and the hardware exchange and the interviews. Basically what happened was that there was a red flag, and Matt Hirschman came in and apparently plugged a tire under red flag conditions, and a decision was not made at the time. According to reports, different reports, the official on pit road, not there's a pit road per se, I'm not sure if there is or not, I'll come to tell you the truth, but the official that had that car in the pits called up to the tower and said an unapproved adjustment under red. Not knowing what rules they're going to go by, because I wasn't there, you pit under red, the red flag is displayed, nothing happens. You could look, you could stare, you can't touch. If you do touch, there's a penalty that gets, once it's happened, the yellow comes back out, the cars get all lined up, green flag drives, and while they're going under the yellow, the race director up in the tower then assesses the penalty, depending on which series rules they're going by. My understanding is that it should be a stop and go. It should be tail end of the lead lap cars. It could be a drive-through, depending on what set of rules they're going by. This penalty was assessed hours later. Two other teams were also penalized post-race for unapproved adjustments. That was Patrick Emmerling and Bobby Santos. They both finished in the top 10, but were put to 17th and 18th respectively for basically the same thing, unapproved adjustments on the red flag. From what I'm reading, part of the problem, and there's some people that are up in arms and they're pointing fingers, this guy made the call, this guy, the people, and I'm not going to throw names, but the people who were running the show in the tower and the powers to be had to leave to catch flights to get home. I understand that. I've been in that predicament. You're stuck in a rain situation, you have to stay an extra day, and your way home is that flight, and the next flight to go home is tomorrow, and most officials, unless they're retired, have to be at work on Monday. And I understand that. But knowing it could have been close, provision should have been made Whereas, hey, you know, let's say I'm the guy. I'm like, I got to leave at this time because I got to be at the airport. My flight's leaving. So you know what? Goggles Paisano, you're going to take over when I leave. So no decision was made until Mr. Hackett was able to make phone contact with the race director for the event once he landed. And he said, no, that's what you got to do. Now, you know what? At that point, in my opinion, you blew the call. It's too late. You do nothing. In my opinion. Not that that matters to most people, but it matters to me. That's what should happen. And that's a call that needed to be made at the time of the infraction. It's not like they went to post-race tech and they pulled their heads and they're measuring and then they got to send it out to some R&D place and have it checked. No, this is a penalty that has a distinct, consequence. They didn't do that. And I know Dick Brooks, longtime touring official and former chief steward at the Thompson Motorsports Park when it was Thompson Speedway, was getting the blame for this. Now, he didn't make that call. He didn't make that decision. He was not running the race from up in the tower. So I want to clear that up. A lot of people were blaming him. A lot of people were saying that that's why they don't come to the race. That's why they don't race at the race, because they didn't like that. There are teams that won't come if that guy's there. Let me tell you something. I know Dick Brooks a long time, and he's been in this business over 50 years. And does he do some things that you and I might not like as competitors? Absolutely. Because nobody likes the head guy in charge. Nobody likes the head guy in charge. So there was a lot of finger pointing. But if everybody would have calmed down and got the facts, the fact of the matter was the man in charge of the event had left the facility to go, and nobody wanted to make that call. And that's basically what happened. Doesn't make it right, but that's what happened there. Just wanted to clear that up here because when I see things like that, and it's tough not to have the official's hat on still sometimes. Being an official is a hard enough job, and yeah, there should have been a plan B for those guys and gals that had to leave for the flight. There should have been a plan B. There wasn't. You don't plan on rain. You don't plan on rain lasting as long as it did, and you don't plan on a race taking as long as it does, and people have flights. Just one of those things, all right? So that's what happened at the North-South Shootout. I think overall, the people promoted the Hackett, Mr. Hackett, they did a fine job trying to promote it, moving it back to the Concord Motorsports Park. And although I did not attend and I would have liked to, it sounds like overall it was a good race. And again, congratulations to Justin Bonsignor on his victory at the North-South Shootout. 28 cars were slated to go, 2 did not start. So 26 cars started the event. So basically, I think it was a good show all in all. So that's just how that went. And again, congratulations to Justin Bonsignor for bringing it back to Long Island. The top 10 in that event, Justin Bonsignor was declared the winner after Matty Hirschman's DQ. John McKennedy was second. Burt Myers was third. Georgie Brunhustle, the third, was fourth, followed by Chuck Hosfield and Kyle Bonsignor. Justin's cousin was sixth. Cale Gale was seventh. Brian Duzat was eighth. Darian Shearer was ninth. And Jimmy Blewett rounded out the top 10. So that's how that went down at the North-South Shootout. Oh, Texas. There was a lot of stuff that went on in Texas. Again, all 3 series were there. We're going to go over all of that, the wins, the news, and everything else with the Xfinity, the Camping World Truck Series, and the Sprint Cup when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scano Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Weller. We're some of the Proto Men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, before we get into Texas Motor Speedway, just a reminder, the Turkey Derby will be held at the Wall Stadium Speedway in Wall Township, New Jersey. That'll be November 27th, 28th, and 29th, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday after Thanksgiving. Just to let you know what's going on there for that weekend. On Friday, the sportsman cars will do 50 laps, the legends will do 30 laps, the factory stocks 40 laps, and the four-cylinder cars will do 40 laps. On Saturday, the TQs will have a 25-lapper on the inside track, the flat track. The Tour mods will go 150. The Dirt mods will go 50. The Limited Lane models 50. And the SK Wall-type mods will go 100 laps. Sunday, the Legends will do 40 laps. The factory stocks 50. The four-cylinders 60 laps. The trucks will get 25 laps. And it'll all end with a bone-crushing, car-messing-up demolition derby, the Turkey Derby. It should be an interesting day. Actually, weekend. All right, Texas. Let's talk about Texas real quick. Let's give you some results here. The Campbell Road Truck Series was at Texas. They have 2 events left. Eric Jones was the winner, followed by Daniel Suarez. Ryan Blaney was 3rd. Matt Crafton was 4th, followed by Tyler Reddick. Timothy Peters was 6th. Brandon Jones 7th. Christopher Bell 8th. Ben Kennedy 9th, and Cameron Haley rounding out the top 10. With 2 events left in the Campbell World Truck Series schedule, we have Eric Jones, the point leader, followed by Matt Crafton, Tyler Reddick, Johnny Sorter, Timothy Peters in 5th, Cameron Haley 6th, Daniel Hemrick 7th, John West Townsley 8th, Ben Kennedy 9th, and Spencer Gillard was rounding out the top 10. The Xfinity Series was also in Texas, with Brad Keselowski taking down the win there with Kevin Harvick 2nd, Austin Dillon 3rd, Eric Jones 4th, Ty Dillon 5th, Daniel Suarez 6th, Brian Scott was 7th, Chase Elliott 8th, Regan Smith 9th, and Elliott Sadler rounding out the top 10. With 2 events left in the Xfinity Series, Chris Buescher is the point leader, 24 marks over Chase Elliott, followed by Ty Dillon, who's in 3rd place, 30 points back. Reagan Smith is 4th, 31 points back, followed by Elliott Sadler, who's in 5th, 118 back. He doesn't really have a shot at it anymore. Dow Wallace Jr., 6th in points. Daniel Suarez, 7th. Brian Scott, 8th. Brendan Gaughan, 9th. And Ryan Reed rounding out the top 10. Chris Buescher basically just has to show up the next 2 events to clinch that title. He has not mathematically clinched anything. I mean, if he would have finished last in each event and Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon would have win and came in 1st and 2nd, led laps and all of that kind of good stuff, then it'll be a whole different story. But it looks like Chris Buescher, just if he chases points, he should be the Xfinity Series champion as they head to Phoenix and Homestead. The Cup Series. Everybody had their eyes on the Cup. Jimmie Johnson was the winner, followed by Brad Keselowski. Kevin Harvick was third, followed by Kyle Busch in fourth. Carl Edwards was fifth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. sixth. Kurt Busch seventh. Martin Truex Jr. was eighth. Jeff Gordon ninth, and rounding out the top 10, Jamie McMurray. The points as they stand for the 8 eligible people in the chase at this round is Jeff Gordon is the point leader, followed by Kyle Busch, who was 2 points behind Gordon. Kevin Harvick, 3 points behind Gordon. Martin Truex Jr. is 6 points out of the top spot. Carl Edwards is 13 points back, followed by Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Joey Logano, who is 69 points behind. Regardless of the finish, however, these are the chase scenarios. To clinch a spot in the Final Four at Homestead. Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch will clinch with a third-place finish with at least 1 lap led, or a 5th place finish with the most laps led. Kevin Harvick can clinch with a 2nd place finish, or a 3rd place finish and a lap led, or a 4th place finish and lead the most laps. Truex, Edwards, Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Joey Logano must win to move on to the next level, the finals at Homestead. So that should be interesting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers that are in a must-win situation. And the other 2, as we all know, Jeff Gordon is already in with that win, but Busch and Harvick, basically, they gotta run up front too to make it happen. And in regards to Jimmie Johnson, Jimmie Johnson's win. Ah, yes, Jimmie Johnson's win was, I believe, his 73rd. Or 75th, I'm sorry, his victory was his 75th victory of his NASCAR Sprint Cup Series career. 8th on the all-time list, only 1 shy of the late Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s, senior, I should say, 76 victories. The way the victories look at right now is Richard Petty, as we all know, is the all-time winningest driver in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with 200 victories. Followed by David Pearson with 105 victories. Jeff Gordon, still active, claims to be retiring at the end of this year with 93 victories. Bobby Allison, one of the Alabama gang, 84 victories, and Cale Yarborough with 83 victories. So, those are some heavy hitters. Dale Earnhardt was with his 76 wins in a shortened career. His career was tragically cut short. Who would have known what Dale could have did if he raced another 5 years? And I'm sure he would have had at least another 4 or 5 years left in him. But when you look at back in the day, and in all fairness to the guys that race today, even though Jeff Gordon's got 93 victories back when he was with the Rainbow Warriors, as they were called, he was winning a lot of races every year. But when you look back at some of these ones, like Richard Petty, 200 victories, how could that be? These guys back in the 60s raced 50 races a year. 50 races a year. They just loaded up the truck and went racing. There was one year, I believe it was 67. Richard Petty had 27 victories that year, and one of them coming at Islip Speedway here on Long Island. But you look back in those days, I mean, it was just a whole different era. And when, Winston came into me, when they called it the Winston Cup in the early 70s, I believe it was 71, 72, what they did was they shortened the season. Good move, bad move, it doesn't matter. It was just a different era. They called it the modern era. And through the years, there were different title sponsors, but it was still the same thing. Prior to having a title sponsor, it was the Grand National Division. When it first came out in 1948, it was the modified division, believe it or not, because they took cars, they went to the local car dealerships and went off the showroom floor, and they modified these cars. And that's why they were called modifieds. They weren't the cookie cutter cars that we see today. The street stocks, they were exactly that, a stock cars. They taped up the headlights, They taped up the glass. They rolled down. I can remember watching footage of Lee Petty getting in his old Plymouth and getting in it and opening the door, getting in it, shutting it, rolling down the windows. And they took a strap, and they strapped the door shut. Back in the day, they had all the instruments on the dashboard, the radio knobs, and you wonder how more drivers didn't get injured back then. I mean, but unfortunately, when they did get injured back then, they didn't get hurt bad. They got hurt permanent back in the day. But Jimmie Johnson, I'll tell you what, here's a guy, always a professional class act guy. Not that I want to see Dale Earnhardt get past. That's records are made to be broken, as Babe Ruth used to say. Jimmy needs 2 more races, 2 more wins to pass Dale. And my feeling or my opinion, and I'm saying this, when Jimmie Johnson's all done, he's going to be in the top 5 in victories, just like Jeff Gordon. So that's good. I only wish him well and wish Jimmie Johnson continued success. But 75 victories, that's awesome. That is awesome. So anyway, we're coming close to wrap-up time. So just a couple of things I want to remind people. I know somebody called me up and says, why do you keep talking about banquet etiquette? Because I'm looking at these pictures in the racing papers, and guys show up at these banquets to get their championship plaques and trophies wearing, their favorite driver's T-shirt. Not even their own T-shirt. Guys, button-down shirt, maybe get a little tie. All right, comb your hair, shave, whatever. Be presentable. Represent your sponsors in a way that think about this. Think about if this was your business. How do you want your business to represent it? And the banquet series is happening, man. It's coming. I believe Bethel Motor Speedway recently had their banquet. I believe it was last week, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at some of the pictures, the guys don't know how to dress up, the guys and the gals. You got to get dressed up. I'm not saying go get a tuxedo. I'm not saying go to Joseph Banks and buy a $1,000 suit. Put on a sports jacket and a pair of slacks. Tie, at least. Represent yourself well. Because, everybody can get a sponsor for a season. Anybody can. The worst driver at any racetrack could get a sponsor for a season. December 5th, thank you, Tracy, for correcting me on that one. Anybody can. It's the repeat sponsor. When they keep coming back, that's when you know you're doing the right thing for that sponsor. Whether there's a return on their investment, whether you're creating an awareness for their program or for their business, that's when you know. When that sponsor keeps coming back year after year, think about Jeff Gordon and DuPont. Who else would you ever seen on Jeff Gordon's cars? That's been a long-time relationship. Is it because of Jeff Gordon? Totally? Maybe not. Is it because of Hendrick Motorsports and their history and their record? Probably. But I'm not thinking if Jeff Gordon were to leave Hendrick Motorsports in his heyday, would DuPont have gone with him? I'm thinking so. Long-time relationships. Like I said, anybody can get a sponsor. I look at guys, and I've been to a lot of racetracks over the years, and you see a lot of stuff. And, a guy comes out every year with a different paint scheme, and you look on it, different sponsors. Oh, I got this. What happened to the old one? They don't have money. They don't this. They don't. The easiest way to get rid of a guy who's not going to do it a sponsor, and you don't want to say no outright, just say, it's not a good year. And yeah, a lot of companies, when they got to cut budgets, the first thing they cut is advertising. But you know what? If they're making money off you, they're not going to cut your deal. They're not going to cut your deal. I remember having a conversation with a race car driver at the local racetrack. He said, I made my money winning races. You're making your money with sponsorship deals. And he was absolutely correct. It didn't matter to my sponsor that I wasn't winning or my cars weren't winning. What mattered to my sponsors was that my cars were at the racetrack every week, and for the most part, we represented them in a professional manner, and we went to the appearances, and sometimes we'd be working on the car after a Saturday night where it got wrecked and putting it back together and painting it and putting new decals on it to go to an appearance so the car looked good. You dress good, you represent them, you get your T-shirt, your golf shirt, whatever, your jacket, put their logos on it. I mean, don't go crazy for a $100 sponsor, but you know what? You still treat that $100 sponsor just like he's a $1,000 sponsor or a $5,000 sponsor. You still do that. And I know, there's one guy that calls me, why do you talk about that stuff? Because I do. I think it's important. Nobody can go racing without help. Whether you're getting help from your family, your friends, your brother-in-law's buying your tires, your cousin buys your gas, that's what you do. And we all race for a reason. Some of us race to have a good time. Some of us race because that's what we do. We enjoy it. And some people race because they don't play golf. They don't have a boat. So I don't know. With that, next week we'll be back. We'll talk about Phoenix, and then we'll get ready to go Turkey Derby on. I guess it'll be a couple weeks from now. But until then, I hope everybody has a safe week. Wherever your endeavors are going to take you this week, be careful. Make sure you give somebody a hug. Tell them you love them. God bless you all, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for being a part of the show tonight. Good night, everybody.